Hello Zimbabwe, my name is Samuel Jagora. It's your favorite program once again, Mwana Wave, a program where we talk everything farming. And today we have a very special episode where we are talking to Agarikai Mushava, a farmer based in the United Kingdom. We want to talk to Mkomagari. How is he managing farming while in the United Kingdom? He has a farm in Gutu. They are doing pen-fattening and Malaya Zeuku. So today I want to understand how he started, how is it going, how does he manage, and how does he do the project in two different countries. Mkomagari, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you so much for inviting me to your special program, Wanawevu.
Yes, please introduce yourself and tell us about your farming journey between the United Kingdom and Zimbabwe.
Well, I think you've done a very good introduction of myself. Sitandi Mkomagari Mushava, born and bred in Zimbabwe. I'm a very passionate farmer. Like you said, we are doing pen fattening. We also do a bit of horticulture. We're doing Malayas, Wukudze Mazai, and we also have a breeding side as part of our project.
So, Gary, what motivated you to invest in farming in Zimbabwe while based in the United Kingdom?
Well, it's a very long story, Samuel. I always want to speak of my late grandfather. That is my father's father. Vaifida ng'ombe. I always tell people that story. Iko kwa Gutu, that very same area, vaifida ng'ombe. And it's a passion that just grew from talking to my father. He's late now. May he so rest in peace. So that passion just grew, and I just found myself, following in the same footsteps.
Pamuri kuti sekuru vaifidha mombe apa vaifidha mombe in traditional ways or vava kuto commercialize sezvamuri kuita imini?
Vaifidha ng'ombe ipapo paruziva pedu ipapo. You know how they used to do it, Kari. They would just put a few cattle in a feedlot. Sumatanga edu angakavakwa nematombo. I'm sure you've seen the area pawakaenda kwaGutu ikoko. Angakavakwa nematombo, and vaingoisa mombe 5 or 6 or 10 in there. And my father is the one who was responsible for feeding them. And then that time I is market. I don't know if you've heard that word. Market, and then they would sell them, and yes. School fees and so forth and so
on. But Gary, before we dwell too much into the project that you are doing, the project that we witnessed in Gutu, koimimi kuyuki makamboenda at what point in your life, and what motivated you to relocate to the United Kingdom?
That's a very good question, Samuel. Let me take you a bit back before I traveled to the UK. Inipandakapedza chikoro. I did my A-level in 2006. I then traveled to South Africa. That's where I did my tertiary education. I studied Kulingi Kutaben, University of KwaZulu-Natal. And then from there, I've never really stayed in Zimbabwe that much. Then I came to the United States. I stayed there for a couple of years. And then I moved back to Zimbabwe. This is when I started doing the farming, during that COVID time. That's when I started doing the farming. And then, from there, that's when the passion grew, and then I found myself into farming. That time, no time I so I had a very big vision. I wanted to grow it so much, and then the opportunity to come here, just yakauya. I never planned. I never saw myself in this country at all. But I think plan and then we found ourselves in the United Kingdom, and this country has offered us an opportunity to work and save money and invest back home, which is what we have done exactly.
Yeah. So farming started before marriage or after marriage?
Farming started before marriage. Farming started
and you know why I'm asking this?
Yes.
Why I'm asking this, because that vanhu kana vatu mavisions anogona kusiyana. Maybe madam vari kuda invest in this, and you muri kutaura kuti farming, you have a passion for farming. How did you navigate that conversation to say, I have a passion in farming, so let's pursue farming? Maybe there's things that they also want to do. I know you could do these things simultaneously, but discussion yekuti isusu tida kuita varimi, we want to invest back home. tichiita zvefarming. Discussion iyoyo yakatambirwa sei?
That discussion, the very moment I met this lady, Anonzi Christine, I made it very clear to her. She actually knew kuti ndiri munhu anofara zvokurima. I'm a farmer. I introduced myself to her as a farmer. Though at that time, Papa sina a lot. In fact, Maria Kamuroora, imari yemombe. She knows about it, and even Maria takashanza kushaka.
She understands the vision.
So anoziva, she believed in me before we even, so we discussed about it, before we even came here. Look, Mwari vakatipa mukana wokuti tabudawo kunze kwenyika ino taenda. Look, like I said, hansina kana plan yekudaro, but we came here, and then it was clear. We were very clear on what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. So it was quite easy for me to convince her.
And how did you end up in Gutu? Land makaiwana kupi? Because they want to start farming, but the challenge that they face is we access to land, but they always say that we don't have land. Is land readily available for one to start farming in Zimbabwe? Imaga's gone now say.
Land at it was, my father had, my grandfather had about 4 sons, and so mwana wega wega ane a piece of land yavakamuita allocate before he passed on. So my father had his own place pawakanzi apa ndoupenyu apa pavanga vakangoitawo abandon. I've always been someone I'm very interested in, musha and so forth. So we went there, and then we started building from the bottom. We found that place yanga isina kana chinhu chachiripo, and then we started from scratch. It's been a really interesting journey.
So at times it might get a bit personal, but I want to understand, because there's a young person out there, asina zvaari kuita, but they were also in your situation with Mdara is passed on, but there is land that is there, and you said Sekure had 4 sons. So was this land still available, and how did you negotiate nana bamkuru wana bamuni kuti no ini ndafunga kuti land ya baba tichiuya tichiishandisa iyi?
Yeah, we just followed protocol, my brother. It's I went through my sabuko. In fact, sabuko it is ziva. Trivana ikoko, and this is our land. So I approached him, and I made my intentions clear. To die. And I also spoke to my father. And we discussed. This is what we're planning to do, and it was very supportive. It was very supportive, and then we just started my developments. I know it's a very tricky situation. My families, my very supportive.
Yeah, it's not Siana, yes.
Yes.
And how big is the land that you have?
It's not very big, my brother. It's about maybe about 2 hectares, 3 hectares maximum, if I have to count it. But particularly my projects so far we've only used maybe about 1.5 hectares only. Yeah.
Sonke farms. Ndagona kudaidze. Is it how you call it? Why Sonke farms? What does it mean to say a Sonke farms?
So Sonke farms was given birth in 2015. Sonke, it's not a Shona name or no an English name. It's Tanoroaguti Tose, everyone.
Yes.
I've always been someone who is driven to work together with others. So when I started this business with my brother, we then decided to say, look, Sonke is the name that can be used. The vision itself, ichakava vanhu vakawanda, and tichabatsira vanhu vakawanda through our vision. This is where the name came from, Sonke.
Yeah. I want to get to you, because you said business. We always refer to them as projects. So, can talk about the business. There is an aspect of profit and loss in there. Yes. I think we'll touch about this as we wind up. But let's talk about pen-fattening and the layers.
Yes.
As your main farming enterprise. Yes, you said you do a bit of horticulture. But why did you choose pen-fattening and the layers?
Right. To answer your question, panovunzo wakakosha stereki. business and projects, those are two different things. Our approach to how we do things, we view them as a business. We are trying to move away from nyaya yekuti projects, because the moment you say project yakuta kunge hobby, and I don't know if you follow. Saka isusu takati no,
Yes, I
this
hear
is
you.
a business. And to answer your question, the reason why takaita ningi pen-fattening and poultry, I'll answer that question in two. Model yedu yatinoshandisa isusu, tine, like you said, togara kuno ku UK anditi tine huku dzemazai. Huku dzemazai play as a feeder. They are a feeder project into the main project, which is the pen-fattening project and the breeding project. Anditi. So huku dzemazai idzi dzinotipa mari every day. We get money every day from these hands. And then we use that money to buy our feeds, to pay our workers, general maintenance and running of the farm. The money comes from these ladies. Chitenga chikafu chedu tichita feed into the pen-fattening project. Pen-fattening project no inotipa big money, every other time. But the big money, because you have to keep mombe in a feedlot for 3 months. And when we send them off to the market, yamareka to 1 day, and we use some of that money to feed into our breeding head as well. Tiwedzera head yedu yechi vasikana vedu vekunikikira vekuno mombe dzinobereka.
So how big is the layers project? And you said it's catering for day-to-day runnings on the farm and partly maybe paying salaries. And
Yes.
how big is the project? And how big is your staff? And ukuchadzi mazai chaiwo chaiwo ndo aritoita kuti tudiki chepafarm tunosanganisira their day-to-day needs, their salaries, and kutotenga chikafu chemombe. Malayers arotozvigona here izvi mukoma?
Malayers anozvigona, my brother. Look, tine huku 2000. Our layers are 2000. And huku idzi dzinotibhadhara, I would say plus or minus $1,200 a week. And
A week?
In a week. And it was we produce about 300 crates in a week. So that's about our price range, range from about $3.70 to $4, depending on who is buying. So huku idzi dzinotokwanisa chose, they are managing to tinozobatsiridza zvedu, because our cattle feedlot yedu has grown so much over especially this past year. Yakura zvisingaiti zvekuti takupotawo tichipinda muhomwe medu tichitora some money tichitumira tichitobatsira and so forth and so on. But the ladies huku idzi dziri kutogona a lot. They are managing quite a bit to pay the workers and to help in buying my feeds, buying mishonga yemombe, mishonga yehuku, and so forth and so on, just to keep the cash flow going. Yeah.
And why pen-fattening, and why these 2,000 ladies?
Right. Pen-fattening, because it's ndakambonzwa a very interesting conversation yakaitwa mumasecos umu. If you want to make money and if you want to have a sustainable business, you must go for your traditional businesses. But the businesses are tried and tested. Asingafoiri. I have a lot of conversations in Awanu every single day, and they come to me and ask me, what should I do, road runners, or should I do layers? Or should I do, there are so many questions, and my answer is very simple. I try to keep it very simple and very basic. The reason why we went for Malayas, let me answer that first. Malayas, if I am to ask you, Samuel, you will say Zaire brown,
yes,
and Zaire white, which one would you choose?
I would go for the brown one.
You go for the brown one, because so our market in Zimbabwe, understand that. They will always go for my table eggs. So my table eggs are easy to sell. They are not difficult to sell. Market is not something that you should worry about if you want to get in things like that. So and ndatoranya cash flow. Anobatsira huku dzotibatsira pa cash flow. Chinhu chotengwa every single day. People are making cakes. People vanodya breakfast nemazai. Mazai anoshandiswa zvinhu zvakawanda. Saka it's a product that is not difficult to sell. That's number one. Number two, mombe, nyama. Isu takakura tichidya nyama. The market for beef, haifi yakapera, because chinhu chinobikwa nhasi, chikabikwa, people eat it and they chinoenda kutoilet. and tomorrow they will go again and buy more beef. So it's a product iri traditional isingafi yakapera market yayo. Saka business rakadaro kuti iri broke ka, you have to do something really wrong. And that's my thinking around it. And also the passion that I have nezve mombe. I'm a very passionate somebody nezve farming.
So, when you set up, especially pen-fattening, because there's that conversation that always arises to say, let's not spend too much money in setting up. You find some people doing those metal fabricated crows. Imi ndo zvamakatanga onazvo reka kuti mangoti aiwa zvishoma toita tichikura, but the main product imombe. Zvimwe zvese zvitomboita minimize on cost. Makaitawo sei ipapo?
So our approach Isuzu was very simple. Just keeping it very simple. In our area, Gutu, we've got a lot of plantations, gum trees, atakaita make use of. Remember, you are trying to build something sustainable, something kwanisa kukupa mari. At the same time, you also want to live wherever you are. Like in our case, we live here in the diaspora, and you don't want to take all the money and put it in Zimbabwe, and then most of them rent and so forth and so on. So we approached, our local school, Jawahira Primary School, wakatitengesera magum trees. We approached our sabuku, wakatitengesera magum trees, and we paid very fair amounts of money. And that's how we managed to build matanga edu. We were getting my quotes and also 3,000-4,000, but ours was less than 1,000 after tapeza kwa matanga edu mombe. And matanga edu also will use local material. So we tried to keep my costs and my structures very low and put most of our money into quality animals. That was our approach.
But if there's talk of, I think Gutu was once hit by January disease, and now there's talk of foot and mouth. How did you survive January disease? Mombe dzenyu dzinobuda kunosangana dzimwe here kana kuti you always keep them matanga and dip them regular? How did you survive January disease? I think it hit in almost every part of the country, and Gutu, I think, is one of the most struck areas.
Yes. Well, changobuda mairi foot and mouth. We thank God we just got cleared now by the government. Vaccinations. When you can only mombe, or if you are into farming, the only thing that you've got to do, make sure you do, is you vaccinate your cattle. Like I said, a lot of money goes into mishonga, mombe, and so forth and so on. And January disease, chirwere chacho chinotongouya every rainy season, or even isiri rainy season. The only solution to that is to dip mombe. Saka tunoshandisa inonzi 554. Todipa mombe dzedu frequently tichichinjanisa chemicals atoshandisa at all times. And takambo, ndabotaura kuti pane pandakatanga farming in 2022, takafirwa nemombe almost 20 something mombe. From there, this is where I learned how to deal with JD, and right now I'm happy to say we haven't lost any, since then to JD, because takugona tekunokuziva kuti tinokwanisa kudilana sei. The only solution kudipa mombe.
Well, I also wanted to ask you, was it a smooth ride from the time that you started, or pane tuma hiccups amunombosangana nato apo neapo, like you mentioned, 25 that you lost? How has been the journey so far?
The journey has been very interesting. It has not been a smooth journey. We have lost money. There are a lot of let me say, people vakangoita sprout vasingaiti zvefarming, vanongogona ngokuti andogona kubatsira nechichi ndokubatsira nechichi. We lost money through those people. Unfortunately, it was a lesson that we learned, and we moved on from it. Especially yes. Horticulture side. Yeah, we lost a lot of money, lots and lots of money. Horticulture, and then we sometimes tengeserwa mombe dzisiridzo nevanhu, or you buy the wrong cattle. Zvakana uchidzidza zvinhu, you buy the wrong cattle and so forth. It's being in the diaspora and also wanting to do farming, zvine ma pros and ma cons azvo. But I'm happy to say those experiences akatibatsira kuti tive zvatiri nhasi. Right now I can talk of success because of the systems that we've managed to build. for our business, which is what I can say is one of our strongest cornerstones in our daily day-to-day running of our business.
Gary, how do you manage, or let me start by asking you, tichiri pamombe papa kuti mabreeds munongotenga here sabhuku vakati ndaitawo mombe yangu ndashoterwa nemari yechikoro, your neighbor says they want money to cater for this. What criteria do you use when buying cattle, especially for pen fattening, not for breeding?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Right, if you go onto our website, ukatarisa zvatiri isusu as Sonke Farms, even started nokutaurira that. Our approach, look, I could have chosen to go and do it at a farm, but I decided to go kunoitira kumaruzeva kumusha because there is something there, chisiko kuma farms, anditi. So isusu approach yedu, we are community based. Tinoda kubatsirana community number one, and we work with our community. Even my projects edu esatakaitaya, we involve the community even in building a house there, in building matanga. We were working with the community. So tika approach kwa isusu nema local people vachiti, look, ndine mombe yangu yandinayo panapa, I need to pay school fees. We will happily buy it, but we will go in and negotiate for a fair price. Isu tichitarisawo the business aspect of it, kuti are we going to get something from it, and also kuti murimi wacho atiwigira mombe yake yeye ano benefit or something from it here. Kana tachine target yekuita maybe $300-400 per mombe, even tikaona hedu 100, it's okay as long as we're not making a loss, but at the same time takwanisa kubatsira someone are in need. That is our approach. So to answer your question, yes, we do accept that, and we actually take mombe dzinobva navanhu vanouya vachiti ndine munda aita kuda muziko ndikutengesawo, vanouya nechibage vachiti toda kutengesa chibage chedu, we do that, we buy.
And mombe idzi, we don't want Edu to go into the nitty-gritties, because I think at the end of this program, or we will put your number so that people that want to know more will then come to you, because there is a lot of questions that people always want to ask, some of which we might not cover on this program. Hence, I will skip the question that I wanted to ask with Mombe Mnombo's feed, but I think let's go, because there's someone who is also in the diaspora and they want to set up, but they're afraid, how am I going to manage daily operations given the distance between Zimbabwe and the other country? Imimi, how are you managing the daily operations?
Right, my daily operations, mvunza wakakosha sana mwavunza. It's a lot of us here in the diaspora. I'll tell you this, a lot of us are looking for a way out. But
that's so true.
That's very true. That's very, very true. We are looking for a way out, and Zimbabwe is a destination of choice. But chiri kuita kuti vazhinji vedu tisa decide kuuya in time is because we hatina pekutangira, and we have tried to do this kind of businesses. Akafaila, we have lost money through dealing nevanhu vasiri honest. So isusu what we have done, I do get people that I speak to every time, the information and so forth. I'm quite happy to assist there. We have set up systems. I've explained this, but let me explain it again. Takaita develop a system. It is very, very robust. Inotibatsira kumanager huku dzedu. When I talk of huku ndikutaura zvemazai, production percentage, I'm talking of cash flows. Mari dzacho kuti zomanagwa sei. I'm talking of inventory. That's our ingredients. Yatoshandisa pakugadzira feed yedu. We manage those things from here. So after my 8 to 5 job, ndotouya ndotogara muoffice mangu, and then I look at a report that is sent every day na manager wangu ari kwaGutu. Wototumira kuti this is what we've done today, and we cross check against what they've been sending throughout the day. So those systems ndo ari kutibatsira kuita sei kumanage our project. This is why we can talk of success, because of the systems that we've built around our business, and also the team that we have on the ground. I always say to people, kana tichida kubudirira in these things, we've got to make sure that we hire the right people for the job. Vanhu vacho vanofana kuva aligned to your vision. So the first thing that you need to do as a person is have a vision for yourself. If you have a clear vision that is clearly outlined, it's easy for you to interview someone and get someone who's aligned to what you want to do. You see, so this is how we do it ourselves. This is how we run our things.
And how important is the team that is on ground, the team that is in Zimbabwe, and how do you select and train? I know you partially touched on the selection criteria, but how do you select and train them? Imi muri kushando iko.
Right. The first thing chatoita Samuel Susu is kana ndichida munhu, I put out an advert like any other company because our approach, like I said, atinayo Susu, it's a business, it's a company, it's a proper organization, it's already registered. So tinoisa out an advert, and when I interview you, the questions andokuvhunza my questions are aligned to my vision, and then ndakunzwisisa kuti are you fitting into what we want to do? Because we've got a vision, I think that clearly defined. So we are looking for people who fit into what we want to be. So that, I think we have had errors. Atakaitane had the wrong people, but we normally we get the right people. Vanhu ivava ndo vakatikoshera zvokuti ndo vanorun a business. They are the pillars of the business because ndo vanofeeda huku, ndo vanofeeda ng'ombe, ndo they do everything, they protect everything. Isi tiri kunoku, we can only assist with ideas and guidance on kuti ngatidai nekuvapa vision kuti let's do this at a certain time and particular time.
You said you provide the vision. Obviously, you are the directors.
Yeah.
Do you have some agricultural background that you have? Do you have qualifications in agriculture that then makes you to say, provide guidance? Say, no, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, let's do ABC. Let's mix our feeds like this. Do you have experience in that background, or mune kudzidza kwamakamboita ere munyaya dzezvekurima?
Right. The time discover kuti this is what I want to do with my life. Personally, I started investing in learning more about agriculture. Saka I've taken a few courses, and chandakanyanya kugonisisa stereki ndechekuti ndakatanga kuzemberana nema-experts. Ndo ndakatanga kuzemberana nawo vakatanga kundita mentor, especially when it comes to nyaya dzenutrition yema-animals, taking care of animals and mapping out my farms and so forth and so on. So over the years, I've had very important people wamwe vacho vari kuZimbabwe ikoko, vamwe vacho vari kunoku, vamwe vacho vari based in the States, vaindita mentor and advise. So that knowledge yoyo ndo yakazondibatsira kuti I can happily say I've got very practical knowledge on the things that I speak about, and I'm very confident of the things that we do.
So in Gutu, do you have a surveillance system that you have that allows you to monitor 24/7 the activities that are going on ground?
We have not put in my cameras yet. The reason is and I don't want to use the word trust. We've got a solid team. We've got a solid team, that we have. Chatakagona zameuka, takakwanisa kuita drill in our vision mavari. Let me make that point very clear. Takakwanisa kuita drill in our vision mavari vakainzwisisa, and we look after these people. And this is reason why we saw need with some cameras. But eventually, I think this year we're going to install my cameras there, because the business is growing. So we need a bit of surveillance and so forth and so on.
Muchiona tinoti munhu zichira kuti munhu they can do anything.
Yes.
Even though there is trust. Mazai hamuke ashota here kuti no, maybe is there a number that you say on the beds on the ladies that we have, we expect at least there should be a plus or minus this certain number, because vanogona kutanga tongobika mazai kaikoko vatoita tag team, maybe they are 7, 5, 6 voita tag team vakutanga kutoerowa. Yes, maybe they have an allocation that they get, but kuti maybe mukona kuti mazai maybe aimbobuda ari 1900 but ezvino zvikabuda 1700 panotaura kubvunza kuti there's a question mark there. how do you deal with such? Makambosangana nazvo here izvozvo. Even mombe munogona kungonzi mombe inogona kungonzi yarwara nhasi takatoiona ichirwara nezuro but they didn't report mbotizati mombe yatofa iyi. You never know kuti is it true kana kuti vanhu vacheka vatengesa nyama.
Yeah, it's a very important question that one, Samuel. Ndataura nyaya yemasystems anditi, ende wandibvunza bvunzo wakakosha as well. Wataura nyaya yekuti makadzidza here nezvinhu izvi. I am happy to say through my experience nekudzidza kwandaita zvinhu, ndakadzidza mabehaviors ehuku, ndakadzidza mabehaviors eng'ombe, ndakadzidza production kuti inofamba sei and so forth, zvinoaffecta production and so forth and so on. Saka vanhu vedava vachipinda basa vanotrainwa, handiti vatrainwa vanosaina contract ine ma-policies and procedures, handiti ka. And ndataura nyaya system yedu yatinayo ka, tinomonitor. Let me make an example yekuhuku. Tinomonitor ma-production levels. Saka ma-production levels edu, kana iwo uchiziva kuti you are feeding the chickens the right way that you are supposed to feed them, and at the end of the day woita tick or sign off kuti ndapa huku dzangu chikafu chakati nechakati. We expect huku to produce a certain number of eggs kana pasina anything drastic chaitika, whether in weather conditions are changed very drastic or whatever. Saka my expectations edu anenge ari it's not realistic, anenge ari tinotoziva kuti dzinoproduce a certain number of eggs in a day ranenge rati kwamagged off. Kana pazoitikawo something zvokuti maybe kwatonhoresa musi wacho iwoyo, and we'll manage it as we go. So to answer that question, masystems edu atakacreata anotibatsira to manage nyaya dzekubirwa, nyaya dzemismanagement and so forth and so on. So we are able to manage all those things. So it's the systems that manage the whole process. Ati manage one, well, it's the systems that manage basa redu. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I do get you.
Zvikashota
zvikashota
zvinhu ka zvinobhadharwa, they know, they signed for it. Ukapinda basa unoziva kuti shamazai akashota, we expect you to produce so much. If things go missing, you pay for it. Ng'ombe kanzi yazotanga yashaikwa, someone has to be responsible for it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that very important question, Guti. Say there is a loss yaitika and people are on the wrong here, and they are also admitting that it was an error on their part that led to that loss. Do they repay? But you have just answered me, Guti, no, this is business, and I understand that it's also a business. So if there's a shortfall, people have to stand up and take responsibility for their actions. But let's talk about the market side of the business. You are deep down in Gutu, about 25 to 30 kilometers away from the center. How is the market like for both eggs and beef, finished cattle? And how reliable is this market?
The market is very excellent, my brother. Let me use that word, it's excellent. Mazai edisusu we currently hatitokwanisi kutosupply. Just mugutu mampanda wana chete, we are failing to meet the market demands. Magutu chete. And so we are happily, we can happily say kuti ari kupera mazai and tukuwana mari. Hatina problem nekubhadhara kwa mazai edu. And because we supply my local stores, we supply my schools and so forth and so on. And also kunyama uku tinema local butchers that no supply as well, mampandawana, and we also have my customers, my private customers that are in Harare. So we send our cattle for slaughter. Kunyama ndo kutori ne challenge umbe because at least kutokwanisa kutomita demand. Saka we need a lot of players to come into the market, the beef market, and invest in there, because kune good money there. There's really good money if you know how to do it. If you do it right, especially panya the feed up. If you talk as a feed, we make our own feed. So we have managed to cut a big chunk of the costs here. Feed amombe feed wuku, my profit margins are a bit high. And also when we go into the market, we go in there, even we are very flexible. That is why we are preferred.
So confirm on broilers and on cattle, feeding takes the most. Is it the most expense that you made as a farmer?
Yes.
Yeah, the feeding is. And making your own feed, how significant is it in terms of cost reduction?
It's very, very significant. I might not be able to give you the numbers right now, but I can say, look, I don't want to misrepresent or misinform people. So I will not get into details on the percentages. But what I can say is, when you're feeding mombe, kind of livestock, basically, 65 to 70% of my cost goes into feed. And it is susu. What we do when we make our own feed, we buy raw materials and we make our own feed on the farm. And these raw materials, we buy them at very fair prices. So I want to believe, I'm talking about our case. I'm not talking about other people's cases. We have managed to cut our costs maybe by 40%. If we're supposed to, I can safely say we've managed to cut the cost of feed we've cut it by 40%. So that money is going into our profits, which means our profits have gone higher. Yeah.
So I've met some farmers. They were doing pigs though. They tried making their own feed, but I think they then discovered that there was high fat content in the feed. Zvaizoita kuti ngoro dzavo dzine fat yakawanda. And have you ever makamboita mistake with the feeds here? And have you tried straight feeds versus the feed that you are making now? Yes, in terms of cost reduction, there is a significant cut, but in terms of the quality of the meat, makambos try. Let's try straight feed, makambozama the feed that you make at the farm. Is there a difference?
Yes. So we've made mistakes, like I said, Dr. Ngapaya. Isupateka totangisa chapter kufida ng'ombe, unozwa taifida nei? Taifida matoto ehuku. Just straight matoto. Ndandanzwawo someone akandiudza kuti look, you can just do it nematoto ehuku chete. Look, matoto ehuku akanaka pakumaintain condition emombe because they have a bit pane nutrients arimo akanaka imomo. This is a very broad topic, but I'll try to be very brief and very short. So we made mistakes there. But what I then did, I went on to invest into a proper trained person, a nutritionist, and akati Shamari, we are going to help us to make feed. And we sat down and we looked at the ingredients, and then we put those together. Come up with a formulation. We came up with different formulations. I've got different formulations that I can use depending on what's available. We took those samples for testing. Feed tester, feed mix tester, and it was a process. We spent money. We spent a lot of money doing all that, and we came up with my formulations. Ekuti tunozwa kuti ndakarefer ndakaudza munhu shamari formulation iyi endanofeeda so anokwanisa unofeeda mombe dzake dzikabuda dziri masuper without an issue. So one of the biggest challenge atinofesa isusu ndeyekuti we don't want to pay munhu akakuti ndipe mari yakati ndikuitire chakati. We don't want to pay, but toda ma-shortcuts. People end up using masese vachisanganisa zvinhu zvavasina zvinhu zvisiri masese. They are good, but anoshorta a certain number of nutrients. Matoto, they are good, but anoshorta a certain percentage of my nutrients. Ma-shortcuts aya tachitaura aya azvibudi, my brother.
But yes, tichiri papa mkomagari. So do you still use waste from the layers as a supplement? Yes, you have this feed that you have, but you have this waste that is coming out of the layers. 100%. Or you are using it as a supplement?
We actually use it, my brother, because now one example, two examples in fact. And tine breeding head head inotorowa matoto aya ari kubva malayers inotomarova handiti. Then ndine imwe formulation yandinayo. Formulation imwe like I said, ndine different formulations ku Pen-Fattening. Nditori neimwe formulation yekuti ndinotoisa a certain percentage of matoto iwayo in the feed. it's allowed, but I don't take the whole matoto and say kuti ndakutofida mombe dzangu nematoto zotoenda kumarket. I don't do that. And kana ndatoisa that formulation, ndaisa that percentage, ndototora that sample ndoiendesa I'll give an example. Maybe ndamixa chibage, ndikamixa maize bran, ndikamixa rice bran, ndikamixa a bit of matoto, a bit of this and a bit of that. Ndotora ndobva ndaendesa for testing for me to get my results. Is this okay or it's not? If it's not okay, then we adjust it again. You see?
Yes. So, Gary, you spoke of super. I think this is now the grade of the meat. Does it follow that every cow that you get when you feed it, it automatically becomes super beef when it's slaughtered? Or tinozoona kuna na economy, kuna nachi, kana yafidwa, does it become straight super? Munozati mombe dzedu dzese tikaitora apa iri kunosvika ichitoita super.
Unofanira kuuya kutraining kwaGutu somewhere. Waoda kuti ndichikutraina pano painterview. Right.
No.
So super beef, kana tione zvesuper beef. Super beef inobva when you're buying cattle, mombe inenge ine zero teeth. When I say zero teeth, ndikureva mombe ine zero permanent teeth. Ichiri nema-milk teeth iyai. I know inini hangu borderline yangu yandowanzoda kuita. Ndowanzoda kugumira pa4. But you can get up to 6 teeth. Mombe iyoyo mukaifida zvakanaka, yapinda mufeedlot menyu ine good cages, inosvika super grade, up to 6 teeth. Mombe yese yaane 6 and above, haipindi super grade. Ndo panozopinda vana choice, vana commercial, but in a feedlot, we target to do, at least super choice and commercial. Dziya dzine dzakamborima kumusha dziya dzawanga chambotaura dziya dzinouyana nambuya nanasekuru and so forth. Tinodzitora todzifeeda. We get them to commercial. We don't feed them for 90 days or 120 days. We feed them for 40 to 50 days. Because for them to just put in a bit of meat and a bit of fat, and then we send them off to the market.
Thanks so much, Gary. You know that whenever we have these discussions, people want to know about the money side. So Gary, we want to take a case scenario. Yemombe 1. Yemombe 1. Matenga mombe 1 imimi. Let's say pana mnauya nemombe. Matenga mombe yenyu maybe at $250. Let's say $300. You said you feed for 40 to 50 days. Mombe ye $300. Inoda feed yakawanda say this is one. Inoda feed yakawanda say for 40 to 50 days. And how much do you expect to get from that one? I know these things, my economies of scale, the more they are, the higher the returns, all those things. But let's zero it down to one. Timanyasoona boss vanhu zvemari ndozvavanofarira tikazotaura conversation iyoyika vanhu vanenge vachotituka panapa kuti zvine mari here zvinezvi.
You want to put it into
do the same for my layers.
Ngatizviite, it's okay. Let me do this. Ngatirege kushanda nemombe dzema-200 dzema-250 because we won't make nothing from there. Let's work with mombe inoita $450 to $500. And let's work with mombe for $450. Tatenga mombe yedu $450. Mombe yedu taitenga maybe not very far away from Gutu. Ichada kutakurwa mombe kuti isvike kwaGutu, we spend another $35 or $40 kuti isvike ipapo. Titazitenga dzakawanda because inanditenge mombe 1-1. And we don't buy mombe 1-1 because they cost more. But I'll just make an example near one. Mombe, let's assume induction weight yayo is 300 kgs. Toyota induct tona in 300 kgs. Yes.
So before you buy it, sorry Chimbo, hold that response that you have. Before you buy it, munotori weya kuti mombe itoita makeges mangaka ngoti hayo yakasimbusumani yakasimba ingaipinde murori.
So experience I'll speak of myself, that experience that I've got now. If I look at mombe 1, I can estimate the kgs plus or minus, and normally I don't miss because ndakunzwisisa kutenga mombe. Anditi saka ndoitenga ndoiona kuti yakamira sei, hana kumbobvira yamboita zvekurima siwe young steer yosvika feedlot, toita induction, toona kuti induction weight is 300 kgs. Anditi mombe yedu iyi it's a good breed, ine good genetics. That's one thing also chinoita determine the outcome, the final result of what happens in the feedlot. Tatenga mombe yedu good genetics. That is why we spend 450, 500. Anditika toipinza mfeedlot mombe yedu anditi ine mazino maybe 40, 300 kgs taipinza mfeedlot tikuifeeda chikafu to feed mombe iyi nefeed yangu yandogadzira. Here I'm talking about myself, Samuel. I'm not talking about another person. I'm talking about how
the
I do my
experience
things.
yes.
This is my experience. This is our model, right? Isusu zvinotokostera between, depending on kuti mombe yapinda mufeedlot macages mangani. We can either, it's not to cost between $197 to $250 to feed mombe one over a space of 3 months.
Yes.
Right. Saka tafida mombe yedu iya mishonga yatoshandisa per induction inokosa $4. And unozoita meds vanhu, people who do their own meds. Toshandisa, let's just put it at $250. Toshandisa $250. Tapa mari tine $450, $4 tatakura mombe ne $40. Tane toifeeda ne $250. Mukomana anoichengeta over a space of 3 months. Let's say tine mombe tatenga dzakawanda. We put that at $36. $36, that's labor. And tozoitakura yoenda kuslaughter, that's another $40 or $35. Totakura dzakawanda. Tozodi our cost yekuita zvese izvozvo can come to about $750 to $800. And this is the cost sekufeeda mombe zvese taita zvese toendesa kumarket nekunoislaughters. Tozotengesa currently inini market yangu. I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about any other person. My market pays me $5.50 a kg for super. Some of it pays me $5.80 a kg for super. But kuno one on the market but $4.50 a kg. That's their own market. I've got my own market that I do.
Yes.
That pay me a premium price. Yes. Yeah. So if you mombe yedu, assuming you gain 1.4, 1.5 or 1.6 kgs a day under good management, we are talking of a gain of about 150 kgs, 157 kgs. And it to plus an AI 300 kgs at apins and it training and out to which I summer. And so carcass weight yedu, we are saying between 55 to 58%, but let's work with 56. We are looking at in excess of 240, 250 kgs. So we are saying tunokwaza kuwana $1,300 to $1,400 per mombe one. And this is including my offals. Tozo subtractor the cost yedu here. This is a good mombe, no dura mombe yakanaka, not our own so you can make yourself $450, $500 profit of one mombe under good management. If you follow, especially nina I tuna trainers anoya kwedu kwa Gutu. Nditowadzidzisa kuti do it right. Don't take my shortcuts. Feeding yako inofanira kunge yakadai. Mvura inomwa nemombe inofanira kunge iri clean. Yaunomwa iwowo ndo inofanira kumwawo nemombe. If you follow what we tell you and what we teach you, if you formulate your feed right, there is no way that you cannot make money. You will definitely make money.
Yes, thanks so much for that. I know when that want finer details like the ones that you are now giving us, they will then come to you.
Samuel, unoza problem noita vanhu Samuel. Problem noita vanhu vanhu vanoda kuita ma-shortcuts. Don't ever make shortcuts and don't ever go into business uchida kuita quick money or maybe farming uchida kuita quick money. It's a long-term thing. Go in there with the mindset of building a business and building something that is sustainable and be very patient and follow just to follow through. Kana zvanzi ita A, don't go on and do A, B. Just do A. If you do that and follow that, you make
when it's
money.
time for B, then do B.
Then do B.
Thanks so much, Gary, for that education yamama kutoti papa for free. And Gary, would you describe Sonke Farms as a business? Is it a a retirement plan, or it's a long-term investment that you have? You want your kids to then reap off the fruits of your labor?
Sonke Farms is a business. It's something that we created with the mindset of creating generational wealth. We want to leave this business for our children, and this is why we have put in more structures in our business. Titori na accountant watinaye, titori ne structure yatinayo yekuti totogara meetings tichitodiscuss. I'm focusing on business development. That's my area. So we are building a legacy, a proper business. But Rukumusha, Samuel, we are doing it Kumusha kwa Gutu. That's where we started. Look,
mutori na accountant paruserver?
Yes, na accountant anoto every single month mzwa 10 wega tinotopuwa financial reports anotouya ende kana mafinstats auya, we sit down and we actually discuss kuti transport iri kutukwadza toita sei, mafeed ari kukosta, this supply is expensive, what do we do to sort this out? It's the mindset yatakapinda nayo in our business ekuti batsira, and look, it has saved us money. We pay all these people. And one thing I also forgot to mention, Tina Ningi, we also have a salesperson who just focuses on sales and procurement. And it Saka and kumaruzeva ona kumusha. This is why we always say, guys, minda we look for minda, we look for my big farms, but hakuna mna sina ruzeva mwana mai.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Hakuna mna sina ruzeva. You can do something, kumusha.
But God, do you consider yourself at one point in your life or in the near future, or maybe it's long term, that you are going to leave the United Kingdom for good and come back to Zimbabwe?
Absolutely, very much so. Look, my brother, Zimbabwe is a. I don't want to say this in a way going to offend our one, but kana wambogara kunze uku, like where we are now, you start to appreciate our country more. Zimbabwe is a land of milk and honey. Let me say that, and
yes,
you just need to approach it with a positive mindset. Business approach it with a positive mindset. Don't look for so many things. My side shows. Focus on building something. If you go in there with that mindset, my brother, look, ndakuudza kuti kutengesa mazai we are making $1,200. And this kutaura nema, ndikutaura zvatiri kuita. I can show you the figures. And we are selling them in Gutu. We have not even started going into other, townships to sell our eggs. Beef yedu tiri kuproduce ikoko, and iri kuenda chinotengwa nevanhu. No one kana vamwe varungu maybe kuna na borrowed uku. Tikazokudza mazita evanhu vatiri kusupply, unotozoshamisika. They are eating meat from Gutu, being produced pazvavaira, kumaruzeva. It's just a matter of mindset. Saka kuno kwatiri kunoku, we are just here to take money and invest it back home. And very soon we'll be there. Because Zimbabwe is coming right.
Saka, God, where are you making most of your money at this point in time? Yes, I know you want the business to grow. It's not yet where you want it to be. And it's not just a decision that you make overnight, but I want to go Zimbabwe. Even though you're making more this side. But where are you making, at this point in time, where are you making most of your money between the two countries?
Between the two countries? Look, yes. I don't want to take anything away from any country. Every country is playing a very important part in. I always say we've only scratched the surface kwa Gutu with the projects, with the business that we are doing. And hatisati tatotanga kusvika patiri kuda kuenda. Izvozvo handiti takuda kutanga kuvaka ma-units ayaya tudzimba tukati kana ma-trainees aenda vanenge vachinogara muri comfortable vaine styling yavo vachivata pamubhedha vachigeza mvura inopisa vachidya mazai anonaka and so on and so on. And that needs money. Zvinoda mari handiti. If we now start taking money from
Yes.
that we're making from mombe and from huku, takuta cripple our business. This is where now mari yatiri kuwana kunoku comes into play. Mari yatiri kuwana kunoku
Yes.
inotibatsira now to kuti tibatsire those kind of projects kuti asumuke, because hatisati tatosvika patiri kuda we have not even done 20% of what we want to do. Saka both the diaspora and Zimbabwe, they are equally important right now. Mari yesatiri kuwana ikoko, it's fantastic, and the money that we're getting here is also fantastic.
Yes.
Because mari dzese idzi guys dzekuita feed into our vision. And ndakamuzwa vamwe vangu vachitaura ndakamuzwa vamwe vachitaura vachiti
someone akaita diplomatic course.
aiwa unoziva kuti chini Samuel,
hausi diplomat here ku-UK iko.
ndakambonzwa vamwe vachitaura vachiti UK this, UK that, America that, America. My brother, you know what? We've got to appreciate, what this country has done. Let me speak of myself again. Zimbabwe, right now, I was not going to, I wouldn't be talking to you now. You are talking to me now because of what you have seen, the work we are doing. And it, ndakaudza the same things andiri kukutaura izvi kune vanhu vakawanda still. This country has given us opportunities to make money and send back home and invest. And in I believe it's the plan of God for Zimbabwe.
Yes, so on a you said you have an accountant, you have a source person, ma agronomists, I mean the people that deal with the farming side of things. But on a month, on a month, when the accountant sends through a balance sheet, you are in the region of plus or minus what in terms of profit per month.
Hey, Samuel, you want me to disclose how much money we're making? You know what?
No, I know that. No, Gary, because people watch this video and it come,
Yes.
and they will be interested in these figures, and they will come to you. And I'll ask you if you do offer consultants, because people want to know. Because Gary, you always said you want to you employ the best. In as the maybe diaspora a few kilometers away from me, but asking as but now but I also want to do the same, because but I'm not doing the same. So I should trust but anyway, let's not disclose the monies.
Look, let me say this.
But
let me do justice to your question and be very fair to you and to our viewers. I've disclosed to you kuti huku kwedu chete kumazai tinowana $1,200. Hatitadzi kuwana mari iyoyo on a weekly basis. Come rain or come thunder. Anditi. Saka yochicalculate kuti by 4, how much is that? Then kumombe. Kumombe, we've got mombe dzinotorwa dzimwe dzinogona kutorwa on a weekly basis, dzimwe dzinogona kutorwa on a monthly basis, dzimwe dzinobuda on a monthly basis. Like I said, we buy cattle every day to feed her into the feedlot. Saka and mari yese yatiri kuwana Samuel, ever since we started this, I've not even spent a cent on it. Inandinga na yembe ngaiveka. My wife buys clothes for me. I'm telling you this, I don't. All the money has been going into buying cattle, and it's not takawedzera kuti tikatenga dzimwe huku 4,000, because we want to increase our capacity maybe kuti tisvike kuma 10,000. So we are not spending this money, we are just reinvesting that money back into the business. But all I can say is we are making very good money.
Yes. Right, Gar, I want to take you back a bit. So you have a pen-fattening side of the business, and you have a breeding stock that you have. Dzino mixa here mombe idzi kuti dzine dzinosangana here dzekuberekana idzi dzekupamba dzekuti wande dzinoenda kumafuro here kana kuti dzine chingopawo chikafu chechirungu dziri mukati momo. What do you guys do?
So the pen-fattening is they are confined in one place. Adzinangwa dzinoenda dzinogara in one place. And this is your pen-fattening side. Then it's the kumafuro idzi todzipawo breakfast, on special days. And the idea kuti kuZimbabwe Christmas time now rice. Kana kuti Saturday kunobikirwa mazaya nemadomasi aya nemavuta. my onion. So on certain days we give them treats, and then they go off to graze. Matoto ayaya ndoti matreats twacho tune munyu zvinonaka kazviya zvinenge kuvavira mombe dzinozvifarira and so forth. So we're just supplementing them now kuti dzikwanise kugara dzakavaka utano. So that's what we do. But our grazing side idzo dzinoenda kumafuro. Iyo ndo mari yatiri kubuilda up kuti kana dzazowandawo dzinenge dzakuberekwawo vakomana vanenge vachiuya kufeedlot, vasikana vachigara vari ikoko kana ndazodawo kuita holiday nemukadzi wangu maybe paKatar kana wherever, when I come back to Zimbabwe ndokutorawo 10 ndotengesa ndokwira ndege ndoenda hangu.
When I grow up I want to be like you guys.
Shamari, handisati ndasvika pandofana kuti ndisvike.
No, with time vese vane mari vanongotanga vachingo zvautoita izvozvizvo. You're in the right direction. Keep doing what you're doing. But Gary, as we close, what advice would you give to Zimbabweans in the diaspora concerning investing back home, especially in terms of agriculture, which you have a stronghold in?
Advice I don't know, my fellow diasporians, especially the ones that are here in the UK. Don't know sangana nemi musi wa 14 March ku embassy building. It's a very powerful workshop at Chaita. Changa tichitaura nezve, agribusiness. Tikuda ma agripreneurs. I'm very serious about this. We want to meet them. Ngatisangane ikoko musi wa 14 March 2026. We are going to be talking about, we've got a lot of, good guests coming from Zimbabwe. Where we're going to be talking about investor into agriculture, especially in Rukuda, vasina mari vanenge vachiti hatina mari yakawanda, because most of the conversations are anowanzoitika, especially when people come here in the UK. They talk of we want people to go invest into big properties. People have got millions, but pane vamwe vari pakati apa samwe vasiri kutaurwa nezvavo, pane macarers aripo, pane manurses mamwe aripo vasina mari yakanyanyowanda. Those are the people that we want to speak to, because tikuda inonzi bottom up approach. And invest kumaruzeva kwedu, guys. Let's go and start these businesses in our rural areas. And I'm here to assist in setting up these things and, from there.
Gary, do you offer consultant service, and are we at liberty to share your contact details with our viewers so that those that want to get in touch with you in terms of training, in terms of how to set up, in terms of pen-fattening projects, in terms of layers projects, are we at liberty to share your number, and do you offer these services?
Yes, we do offer consultancy services. We also offer training. It's training really different. It's practical training. Unoenda kwa Gutu, you spend 2 days uri pa ground. Wakapfeka majombo, wakapfeka worksuit. Uchitomuka makuseni na 6, uchibika chikafu cheng'ombe, chikafu chehuku, muchinofeeda ng'ombe, muchiswera muri mumadhaka. Getting stuck in there, muchi understand the ins and the outs of doing pen-fattening and doing huku. You only pay $50, and the food and accommodation is covered. At Satane, fancy accommodation, but we are on the way. That's that side. We also offer consultancy services. You can share my number, but in projects. I don't want to have conversations with people that will waste my time. I want to speak to people that are serious, people that are ready to start projects, people who are kuita zvinhu.
There you have it, fellow Zimbabwean. This was Mukoma Agarikai Mushava, who was speaking to us from the United Kingdom. This is the first of its kind episode where we have a guest who is not in the same room that we are in. And Mukoma Gari is based in the United Kingdom, successfully running a pen-fattening project, also some horticulture and Malaya's project. Mukoma Gari vanga vachidzidzisa kuti vakafamba sei nzira idzi and how easy is it to operate in these 2 different countries and how to take care of your staff, among other issues. It was your favorite program, Mwana Wave, where we talk everything farming. Thank you so much for your support. Munotidadira makatikoshera mabose edu. I hope you enjoyed this program. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much.